Another prompt number 156. Let's get our little ant drawn in the corner here. And let's see what prompts we have. We have 2 prompts. Brain? Oh, and rocks? Oh God, the first thing I think of is gruesome and gory. Oh God. Okay, let's see what we can come up with. Okay, leave your comments down below now. Make a prediction. Do you think this is going to be a bloody and gory illustration, or will this be sweet and innocent? They give me the prompt brain, and I'm not supposed to include, I was gonna say innards. I mean, a brain is technically an innard. It's an organ that's supposed to be neatly tucked away inside of your head, never to see the light of day. Where the sun don't shine, that's supposed to be your brain, not your butt. Anyways, I started off by the usual, you know how we do it here. I started off by doodling a brain and doodling rocks. I have to say, I've only drawn a brain a few times in my life, but I always really struggle. There's just so many twists and turns and wrinkles, and I never know how exactly to draw the pattern or the path or whatever you want to call the brain. Is it like one piece that's like a maze where it's all squished in, or is it one big round? Actually, I'm realizing now it's a deflated balloon, right? Like basically it's just something that needed the most surface area. Okay, we are going completely off a topic here. Sort of, I don't know, we're talking about brains, but I'm supposed to be talking about the art I'm drawing. Oh my God. Okay, so I started off by drawing a brain in a container and then a zombie holding a rock with its brain exposed. So then I drew a rock creature, and that rock creature has a brain. And at first I was thinking maybe this is a statue that maybe some sort of civilization gives them a brain, like a sacrifice brain into this man-made rock person statue creature. So they just put a brain inside the statue. I don't know, it seemed kind of fun. I put a lot of effort into shading it for some reason. I just really felt this little guy. Then I took a Mojo Jojo approach, wearing a brain in a big glass container on your head. But I was really feeling those little rock guys. I started to sketch and doodle some other little shaped rock guys, and I just kept falling more and more in love with these guys, and that's what I wanted to go with. But I wasn't sure what I wanted to do with those guys, because what I sketched of them in the book was just them floating in space. I didn't even think about a background or anything at the moment. I was just trying to think of an idea of what I wanted to draw. So I busted out my iPad, as I've been doing these days, to continue sketching and brainstorming. I thought about having them in like a pond, just kind of like there ominously. I kind of want to revisit that because I like the layout. But then I sort of landed in a forest and thought, what if these cute stone creatures were just in a forest with body parts? What if you walked into that? What if? I really liked the sketch. I thought it was fun. I obviously had to throw a cat in there because cats are cute, and I absolutely love drawing cats. I can't resist. So it was time to pencil this piece, and I was pretty excited. Like I said, it was just so ominous and creepy, but the characters were so cute. I was, however, really nervous about the background, as I always am. I've especially been out of practice with my backgrounds because I've been focusing so much on more simple gouache paintings. So I definitely felt out of practice. The sketch looked really good, and the pencil looked really good. I was really happy with how this was turning out so far. I put little faces on all of the rocks to suggest that maybe these stone creatures were actually coming out of the ground, and all of the rocks you see on the ground are potential little rock guys. It's super cute, it's super ominous, but I also noticed there was just so much empty space. I needed to draw more cats. So we have our adult cat in the middle, and I drew a bunch of kittens everywhere, and I was just so excited to work on this piece. But first we had to ink it. I've noticed lately I've been using a thicker and thicker pen, and when I look back in my older art, I used a much smaller or finer pen, and I'm trying to go back into that. So I'm using a much smaller pen than I would if I didn't think about it. I think when I use a thicker pen, it's a lot harder to mess up because it's thicker, easier to control, and easier to cover up your mistakes with a thick stroke. So a thin stroke, you can obviously see all of the bumps and the curves a lot easier, and if you mess up, it's so much harder to reconnect a line or fix it without it being super noticeable. But I want to get back into improving on my inking skills because like I've said multiple times, I've been doing so much gouache and digital artwork lately that my watercolor and inking skills, I think, have been suffering. The prompts are also a very good way for me to get back into my inking and watercolor skills, so yeah. Oh, should I also mention that I added more organs than just the brain? Just having a brain, obviously that's the prompt, we had to include the brain, but I needed more organs if this was going to be like a weird, murderous, devouring a body scene. We needed more organs, so I have some intestines that are wrapped around one of the little guys and a mystery organ. Is it a stomach? Is it a kidney? I don't know what it is. It's an organ. It is also there. That being said, speaking of watercolor skills and how they are deteriorating, in a recent Halloween piece, I colored the entirety of my piece blue to create this darkness, and that's something that I want to experiment a little bit more with. I know it's a very basic technique, but it's something that I personally don't do too much of, so I thought, let's do it again. So I put down a layer of dark blue, lighter in the front, darker in the middle, and darkest in the background. And when I added a green to the bushes, I don't know what happened, but those bushes are such a trouble spot for me throughout this piece. As you can see, I put down a layer of green and realized it's a little bit too similar to the grass color, but I really liked the grass color around our characters, so I didn't want to change that. The bushes were definitely needing another layer of green, so I added a bit of a brighter but darker green, and it was a little better, but it was still not different enough from the rest of our piece. I continued on painting our characters. We have our gray rocks, very basic. And what do you know? It's time to add yet another layer of darkness to our bushes in the foreground. At this point, they're darker. You can definitely tell they are a different part of the illustration, but now they're kind of patchy and that was bothering me. So in my brain, as I'm coloring the entirety of this piece, here is something you don't hear. The constant worrying and freaking the F out inside my brain of how ugly and absolutely ruined this piece is because of the bushes. The entire time I'm just trying to focus on coloring everything else, I can't stop thinking to myself how I've ruined this entire piece because of those bushes. When I first approached this piece, I was thinking maybe I should have this a bright and colorful piece as if it's in the middle of the day, but because it's so dark and creepy, I wanted things to be a little darker and less bright and colorful, but I do kind of regret not just making it bright and colorful in the middle of the day. I think that would be a lot more fun also because the characters are so cute and innocent, and I think the coloring would have been really funny to also be bright and cute and innocent. But we went dark. So back to the bushes. I tried to fix the bushes by adding some textured shading, and it looked so bad that I ended up just putting an even darker layer on top of it to hide it. So these bushes have been layered and layered and layered with absolute regret, and they look pretty bad, but it's not the focus, and I'm just going to try my best to pretend they don't exist. And I know exactly what you guys are thinking. To you, these bushes probably look fine. Every time I added an addition, you're like, what's wrong? They just look like you colored them a different color. I see nothing wrong. Which, as the viewer, that's a totally normal way to see this, but as the artist in my brain, I am imagining these bushes turning out way differently, so when I see them turning out not the way I was hoping, it's devastating and it's probably very dramatic. But you know what? I am going to get over it, forget this piece ever existed, and in a year I'll look back at it and think, why was I freaking out? This looks totally fine. We love artist struggles, don't we? Anyway, moving on. I added some trees in the background, just some light shadows to just add forestry to the piece. And I really wanted to like this piece. I was staring at it thinking, what could I add to like this piece? What could I do? There's one simple solution, and you guys are so split on it every time. You either love it or you hate it. That's right, I added blood. And at this point, Can you blame me? This piece has organs all over the place. There's going to be blood. In my mind, adding blood absolutely saved this piece. I still hate the bushes in the foreground, but adding the blood and the texture all over this piece just adds so much more story and creepiness and just fun things to look at. I love it. I love the blood. What can I say? And that's it. Prompts were landing on the moon and rotary telephone, and here are our featured pieces. I love seeing all the space drawings. I don't know what it is. I love drawing space and I like seeing illustrations with space. Thank you guys so much for joining in on this prompt. I hope you enjoy drawing brains and rocks. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.